Hey everyone, John here at Cosmic Destroyers in Shorewood, Wisconsin. I own a 7 minifigure business, so I can speak about something sometimes. Now, what I wanted to talk about today is how there will never be a junk era Pokemon era again. A junk Pokemon era again? There we go. We're going to keep it in. Anyways, there are many key factors to this exact point, and I'm going to get into it right now. People love to point fingers at the 90s, the junk era of comics. Books that had nothing to do with anything, that were just overprinted and everyone was collecting them, so they printed them. That has nothing to do with Pokemon, guys. Fun fact, Pokemon didn't even come out till 99 in the US, so how can you point Pokemon to the 90s era when it was the end tip, the end tail of the whole thing? Something's not adding up. The main difference with Pokemon and comic books, Pokemon is not a crazily overprinted book with no substance. There's rarities to Pokemon. People love Pokemon. We've talked about this before. Charizard's not going to be on the news tomorrow about how he was at a Diddy party. It's just not going to happen. Charizard's going to be beloved forever. Now, Hypno, he might have some issues coming. Pokemon is not an overprinted set of baseball or basketball or football players that no one knows nowadays. It's not the same. There will never be another junk era of Pokemon. And let's get into it even more. And okay, maybe there's a slow year. Maybe there's 10 slow years. There's a dark age of Pokemon. But when the 50th celebration comes, the 100th celebration comes, people are going to want these boxes that aren't being touched. You cannot diagnose the situation within the last 25 years, because that 25 years is a form of investment. People invest in 1001ks, 40150s, 570s, all these different things that people invest in take time. You don't put into your 41030k, 90210 for how long? You can't touch it till you're 78, till you're dead for 12 years. You can't even touch it. Okay? Pokemon, the birth of it, there was people that were investing in this since the beginning. Black and white, whether it's Rudy or whoever, or tons of different whales that you have no idea because they won't speak, because they're smarter than that. They don't need to be in front of a camera. They don't need to tell you what they're doing. They throw out, oh, hey, here's a Plasma Storm booster box that I'm going to send a little minion to a card show with. Thank you for the $4,000. Next week I'll do it again. Look at Pokemon base set. Even with the Rippin' Scalpers, shippers, sorry, new boxes show up every single day. Now, is that because people are quiet and slowly do it, or is there just that much? I don't know. Off topic. But to get back to that long-standing point, I heard a theory. I don't know if it's real. I tell people this all the time, so I hope it is. Something with China. They didn't drink coffee. They introduced a coffee-flavored gum. 20 years later, billion-dollar industry, because all the kids that grew up eating candy that tastes like coffee or gum now want this coffee. These 20 years, if you look at the planet, the billions of years that this thing's been here, like these 20 years, you're so short-minded. A lot of people are so short-minded with investments. They get something, buy it in June, and then July 1st, they're like, why isn't it doubled? I'm getting out. And then they sell it for half. Time and time and time again. Okay? So now Pokemon, let's talk about it. With this new era that we have of ripping scalpers, shippers, the community on the internet that all combined to become one giant community. Like everyone's ripping, everyone's storing, everyone's collecting. Ripping scalpers are going crazy with boxes, just demolishing, dismantling, killing the sealed market, like destroying it. What do you expect? I don't know. The world is really a different place than it once was when Pokemon first started, or during the black and white era, or the XY. Like, the community has grown. It's here. You know, I don't know why you think it's going to disappear just because you think it's going to disappear. Don't speak for others. Worry about yourself. If you don't want to do Pokemon, if you don't enjoy it that much, what are you even doing it for? It's not a fidget spinner. Like, these people that spend hours and hours of their time every week with this hobby, why would they just stop all of a sudden? And now you have this great, amazing community with the internet, with ripping scalpers, all this stuff, you know. There's just so much that is going into it that has never been before. And that's what I'm talking about with that long-term investment. Pokemon has now grown to this point, not even past the point of it's too big to fail. It's just so big that you've never seen something like this before. You can't compare it to anything because there's There's never been something like this, especially with the internet. So when people say junk era, 90s junk era, again, that's comic books. You need to look into it. They overprinted shit out of books that had no substance. Why would you make money on any of this stuff? They overprinted, I don't have them, but I'm pointing towards them. The Star Wars Episode 1, every Target, every Walmart, every Toys R Us, every KB Toys, walls, like they had as much stock as I have in the store just for those figures, and everyone had them, and then everyone kept them safe and kept them in boxes, and no one's going to want them. That's not, you can't compare that to Pokemon cards that you don't know what's inside. People love the product. And then you have the sports cards. Sports, horrible investments in my opinion, you know, and we're talking an investment standpoint. We could also talk about hobby and collecting and loving and whatever else, but sports, a lot of money is made on players, whether they score 70 points in a game or they go to the playoffs or an injury happens or their trade happens or whatever. And then that generation of players, no one cares about. But again, now everything that we're seeing is filmed in 4K. Maybe in 50 years now, everything's in 4K. People are going to be able to see LeBron's greatness. They're going to see KD's greatness before he was Warrior, Steph's career, like all these players compared to the 90s where, you know, it's, you can barely see it, you can't find the footage, all this stuff. Like maybe that will translate a little better, because the people that I grew up with, Ken Griffey Jr., Sosa, Bonds, no one cares about them. You know, everyone cares about whoever now in baseball. It's like Aaron Judge will be nothing in 15 years because no one's watching him. You're going to be paying attention to the card currently. And then that's just like a weird hot potato market that these guys are like, hey, this guy's good, so you should collect his card. I just don't get it. I play sports, I don't collect it. It is what it is. I mean, you know, the Spalskeens, the Paul Skeens, 1 of 1. Like, what happens if everyone finds him out because they're watching all tape and they just destroy him next year? What's that going to do to his card value? You know what I mean? So it's just not comparable. You cannot compare Pokemon to the 90s junk era, and that's another reason why I don't think there will ever be another junk era again. With this community that has grown, the internet, the rip and ship, the collectors, the sheer amount of volume of collectors, cards, everything. Every card that's out besides commons and stuff, people want, and there's not enough of them. Does that make sense? Pokemon are like classic muscle cars. Like the girl from next door in the 60s that's 70 years old now but still banging. It's not going to change. Stop comparing it to other things. You're wrong. Again, if there's 10 years of junk era, on the 11th or 12th, when everyone wants to get back into it and sees all that stuff, what's going to happen? Someone that invested in this junk era is going to cash out. No one ever is going to cash out on 90s cards. You know, it's just junk because it was literally junk. It was garbage. It was bad product. We are given and gifted with amazing product within Pokemon. That's another key difference. You have these shitty comics with no substance. You have all these shitty art cards that are happening. You have more comics that are coming out. You have the birth of the internet that's happening. People are selling shit. You have Beanie Babies that have nothing behind them besides your birth year or Princess Diana. So even comparing it to Beanie Babies is ridiculous. They're not Beanie Babies. You could even compare Beanie Babies to Funko, but then Funko has Star Wars behind it, Disney, you know, your favorite movie. Like, Beanie Babies are garbage. The 90s was, you were taken advantage of in the 90s if you lived in the 90s and you collected. And it is what it is. It's not history repeating. Maybe history will repeat in 40, 30, 20 years, whatever, but we're in a new era. The internet did not exist. These communities did not exist. The card arts, the card rarities, the way that things get opened or how people collect did not exist. So it's not a good comparison to say that Pokemon is ever in a junk era, and it never will be again. And with this being said, I would say maybe if you think there's a junk era happening, grab 2 boxes instead of 1. Hold it out, because someone eventually will be coming back for it. And you could let me know in the comments how bad you think this opinion is or how much it is eye-opening. I don't know. Hate it or love it, Pokemon is staying, And hopefully you love it, and hopefully you can enjoy it with the loved ones and your friends, and we could all have a good time. So thanks again. Thank you for watching. And go watch Dad vs. Pokemon. Come on.